Have you ever caught a cat staring at you and suddenly felt uncomfortable? Like it wasn't looking at you like an animal, but like something studying you? And the strangest part is a huge number of people experience this feeling, because cat psychology is very different from dog psychology. Dogs show emotions openly. They're easy to read. They get excited, scared, angry, and humans understand it almost instantly. Cats are different, and that's exactly why their behavior sometimes feels creepy. Because the human brain isn't always able to correctly read a cat's emotions, and today you'll learn what some of the strangest and most unsettling cat behaviors actually mean. Let's start with one of the creepiest. Why do cats suddenly freeze and stare directly into your eyes? For humans, prolonged eye contact creates psychological pressure. In nature, a fixed stare often means dominance, control, or threat, and cats understand that perfectly. When a cat stares at you without blinking, it's analyzing the situation and studying your reaction, especially if its ears are slightly forward and its body is completely still. This is predator behavior. It doesn't necessarily mean the cat wants to attack you, but its brain is literally evaluating you, and that's why people feel uneasy under a cat's stare, because subconsciously, the human brain senses that it's being watched like an object of observation. But there's something even stranger. Sometimes a cat slowly closes its eyes while looking at its owner. Many people call this a cat kiss, and it actually is a sign of trust, because in the world of predators, closing your eyes near someone means showing vulnerability. So when a cat slowly blinks at you, its brain is basically saying, "I don't see you as a threat." And for cats, that's one of the strongest signs of trust possible. Now let's talk about their strange nighttime behavior. Why do cats suddenly start running around the house like they're possessed? Especially at night. This happens because cats are crepuscular predators. Their brains are naturally most active during early morning and late evening. Those were the hours when wild cats hunted in nature. Even domestic cats still operate on that ancient biological programming. That's why their energy levels suddenly spike at night. But the really interesting part is how they move during these moments. Sharp turns, sudden stops, random sprinting. All of it mirrors hunting behavior. The cat is essentially simulating the chase of prey. Even if nothing is actually there, its brain is automatically training survival instincts. And yes, that's exactly why it sometimes looks like your cat is completely insane. Now let's discuss a behavior that confuses almost every cat owner. Why do cats suddenly bite people, even during affection? You're petting your cat. It's purring. Everything seems calm. And then suddenly it bites. This is often connected to nervous system overstimulation. Cats are extremely sensitive to touch. At first, petting feels pleasurable, but after a while, the brain begins interpreting the stimulation as irritation. And the cat instantly switches from comfort mode to defense mode. Dogs usually transition more gradually. Cats can switch almost instantly. That's why they seem unpredictable. But if you pay attention to body language, you can often notice warning signs beforehand. For example, the tail starts twitching sharply, the ears move slightly backward, the skin on the back ripples, the stare becomes tense. These are signs that the cat is already overstimulated, but humans often keep petting anyway. And then comes the bite, not out of hatred, but because the cat's brain suddenly says, "Enough." Now let's talk about one of the most misunderstood cat behaviors, purring. Most people believe cats only purr when they're happy, but that's not entirely true. Cats may purr when they're scared, when they're in pain, during stress, and even near death. Why? Because purring isn't just an emotion, it may also be a self-regulation mechanism. Some scientists believe the vibrations from purring help calm a cat's nervous system. So sometimes a cat isn't purring because it feels good, but because it's trying to calm itself down. And once you realize that, purring suddenly feels very different. Now for one of their strangest habits. Why do cats bring dead animals to humans? Mice, birds, insects. Most people think it's a gift, but psychologically, it may mean something much stranger. In nature, mother cats bring prey to kittens to teach them how to hunt, and some experts believe domestic cats may view humans as clumsy, unskilled members of their social group. So when your cat brings you prey, it might literally be thinking, "You're bad at hunting, let me teach you." Yes, to a cat, humans may sometimes seem helpless. And now, one of the creepiest behaviors of all. Why do cats love sleeping next to humans, especially near the chest or head? There are several reasons. First, warmth. Second, safety. But there's another important reason. Cats are comforted by heartbeats. They love rhythmic sounds and breathing patterns, especially when they trust someone. But because of this, many people have woken up terrified. After opening their eyes and seeing a cat sitting motionless on their chest, staring directly at them. And the creepiest part is, for the cat, this behavior is completely normal. It's simply observing, studying, monitoring its environment. Because cats almost never fully let their guard down, even while sleeping, part of their brain remains alert. And maybe that's exactly why people both love and fear cats at the same time. They're too quiet, too observant, too unpredictable. Sometimes it feels less like living with a pet, and more like living with a small predator that has perfectly adapted itself to humans. And the more you study cat psychology, the more you realize one thing: we still don't fully understand them. But cat psychology becomes even stranger when you look at the way they control territory. Most people think cats rub against humans because they want affection, but that's only part of the truth. Cats have scent glands around their face, cheeks, and body. So when a cat rubs against your legs, furniture, doors, or even your face, it's leaving its scent behind. In the animal world, scent is information. And psychologically, this behavior means, this belongs to me. Your cat isn't just being cute. It's marking territory, including you. And this explains another strange behavior. Why do cats sometimes suddenly block your path or sit in doorways? Because cats constantly monitor movement inside their territory. They instinctively position themselves in places where they can observe entrances, exits, and changes in the environment. That's why many cats love hallways, door frames, stairs, high shelves. They want visual control over space. A cat that watches everything feels psychologically safer. And honestly, sometimes it feels like your own pet is silently supervising the entire apartment. Now let's talk about tails, because a cat's tail is basically a direct display of emotional state. And once you understand it, cats become much easier and sometimes much scarier to read. For example, if a cat slowly swishes its tail side to side, it usually means irritation or mental focus. But if the tail suddenly starts whipping aggressively, that often means the cat is emotionally overloaded and close to defensive behavior. Many bites and scratches happen just seconds after this signal. Now compare this to dogs. Dogs usually exaggerate emotions physically. Cats suppress them until the last moment. That's why their reactions can feel sudden and unsettling. Their body language is quieter, more controlled, more predatory, and that alone changes the psychological atmosphere around them. Another behavior that deeply unsettles people is when cats suddenly attack moving feet or hands, especially around corners. To humans, it feels random. To a cat, it's hunting simulation. Movement instantly activates predatory instincts. That's why cats are especially triggered by fast motion, hidden movement, dangling objects, sudden direction changes. In nature, prey rarely stands still, so the cat brain evolved to react instantly to unpredictable motion. And this is why cats sometimes hide behind furniture and ambush people walking past. Not because they're evil, but because their hunting instincts are constantly running in the background, even during play.